Hey Brittany,
Hi Josh, welcome.
how are you?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm cool, man. Really good.
Great. So it's the evening time there, right?
It is 4 p.m.
4, okay, so you're just getting into the night.
Mm-hmm.
Productive day, morning for you?
In a shamanic sense, very, but I haven't done a lot of whatever work is. But
Okay.
spiritually, there's been quite a lot going on for me today. So I've been working in that area more than anything else. But it's been, I guess you could call it productive. Yeah.
That's the most
Uh,
efficient work I think we can all be doing right now is just on ourselves. And
yeah, exactly.
awesome. So you are in where? Where are you located?
The UK.
Okay, I thought so. And have
Mm.
you you grew up there?
Yeah, from the UK. Lived in the same house for most of my life. I've been traveling here and there, and a few weeks ago, my girlfriend and I just got back from Bali. Yeah, so we're back. We've been back for a few weeks, just getting grounded and settling into the craziness. 'Cause
Did
it's
they
very different
force
in
you
Bali.
out or you had plans to come back before?
Um, I felt very called to
Mhm.
coming home, and on top of that, it was kind of like the probably don't want to run out of money just in case. Slash, what if we can't get home? So it was a bit of everything really, but we managed to get home after spending £800 more than we needed to.
Very cool. That was your
But
first
it is
time
what it
there?
is. First time in Bali, yeah, and absolutely loved it. Have you ever been?
I have not, no. I
Oh
would
man,
love to
so
visit, I mean,
sick.
all parts of Indonesia and in that whole entire
Mm.
region. But yeah, for now, I'm stuck in Florida, which is not a bad place
Uh,
either. It's just getting really warm. So that's hard.
yeah, muggy.
Uh-huh, extremely muggy.
Mm.
We're working with what we got, and that's all we can do. So
Yeah, it's cool
very
for
neat.
now.
So how long did you spend out there in Bali?
I think it was funny. I kind of intuited that we'd be there for like 5 months, and we were there just under 5 months. So it kind of came true, which was funny.
So did you do a
Um,
one way and like
yeah, we booked
migration?
on my flight. Need to be there for a maximum of 6 months. So aim for 6 months. If it's a bit less, cool. And then came to the end, and the place we were in is like a sort of tourist hotspot, and it's by the beach, so it's very creative, kind of digital nomad, surf life, creative people. And it's really busy, especially around New Year. And then with the whole COVID thing, it just became a ghost town, and it was really nice actually to be somewhere cool, but way less people, because that's one thing that can be a bit like, oh, so many people, very animated.
Mm-hmm.
um, and then it kind of got to that point where it's like, oh, we better go home just in case. And on top of that, like I said, I felt called. But yeah, we kind of went the whole distance really. It was really fun. Really, really enjoyed it. But it's a really cool place. Mm.
Very cool. So did you go for like a spiritual retreat or it was kind of just to
Nah,
go?
my girlfriend and I, I went my first ever big like backpacking adventure about years ago to Mexico, Peru, and that was amazing. I came back and started my relationship with my dad, and after I don't know, maybe a year or two, we went to Australia, which wasn't great. On the way, we've been back for a while, and we let it go to be. At some point, it's somewhere we always wanted to go. So we just stayed up and eventually went to Bali just for like a change of scenery, somewhere to live while we're doing our business stuff. It's got that real super chill, work online, hang out kind of vibe, which is just exactly what we wanted. So it was really nice to go somewhere and just feels lighter, easier, not as heavy. Everyone, all the people are really feminine, guys and girls, everyone's really lovely. So we didn't go for any particular reason. We just went because it was just somewhere really nice that we wanted to visit. But I'm really glad we went. It really, it really got a lot of it being just a really cool place to hang out as well. Yeah,
Independent.
because everywhere's so cheap and chill. a lot of people go there to do digital nomad stuff, because if you're earning dollars or pounds or Canadian dollars, whatever, you can kind of earn that online, and it basically sort of doubles and triples your income because everything's so cheap. So a lot of people go there, and because it's been westernized, at least the tourist hotspots are very westernized. There's cafes everywhere and good Wi-Fi and places to go out partying and stuff like that. It's very, very, very cool place to go and just chill, pretty much.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
very
So
inviting.
is that where you were able to start visioning your project, or you've been doing this shamanic healing work for a while?
So my business, Shaman Vision, I've only been running legitly for about a year, just over a year I started. Just maybe like 18 months ago, I kind of thought, I want to start like making YouTube videos and start putting my vibes out there and see what comes of it. I was working for my girlfriend's dad on his construction company, which was just the worst, the worst place for me to work in the world. Like someone who's so sensitive and like into magic, and like I'm working on a building site with a bunch of like Romanian builders who sort of sit around and smoke cigarettes and drink Red Bull and crazy. It was really, yeah, a bit of a hectic time for me, but I learned from it and it's cool. And I knew I kind of wanted to transition into trying to do shamanic work full time. And then I was basically pushed by the universe to be like, now's the time. So, you know, I was told, you might need to go down to part-time soon because I don't have a lot of work. And I was like, what a shame. Which then turned into, I either need full-time or nothing. And I said, well, I can't really do full-time now because I've started this and this is my calling and I have to follow it. So yeah, I started that. That was really cool. And it's been a journey in itself, trying to get that going and move through the blocks of money and business and getting yourself out there and things like that. It's been really cool though, like really crazy journey, but it's good that I'm now doing a job that mixes in with the work. Like my job is my work and my work is my job. I don't need to, like I said earlier, I was doing this spiritual stuff. Like I have to do that, otherwise I can't share it with people. So it's really cool. I feel like I'm just finally figuring out the physical money-based thing so that I can kind of do more of what I actually like and then manifest and draw in enough abundance and clients and that joy that comes from getting to help people. Like seeing it from that side of things has really allowed it to sort of open up and be like, okay, focus on why you're doing it rather than like, business. Because when you first go into it, you just think, right, I've never done a business before and I know you just need to make money somehow. And it's completely not about that when you're working in a spiritual self-help or, you know, therapy-based kind of self-employed client one-to-one or group setting business. Yeah.
I know that you're launching, I guess it's a 6-week course. Is that how you?
Yeah, 6-week online course. So with energy work and shamanic work and all these different kinds of things, you don't need to be in the same room as someone. You can do distance healing and sing people Icaro's healing songs over Zoom and do all that kind of stuff online as well as in person. So this is a course I've launched before and it's just got better and better over time. But yeah, it's a really deep way to not only learn shamanic healing, but receive a lot of shamanic healing from myself as well, as a way to really tap you into this powerful new healing modality and the medicine you hold, and really learn about spirit animals and healing and protection and grounding and how to open up to all the magic and really come back to that center of safety and comfort so that you can connect all this like magic stuff around you. So yeah, that is something I'm currently launching on Monday, the 20th it is. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm definitely so excited to be like sharing this work. It really means a lot to me to not only do it, but like get to share it. Like what's the point in having something really cool if you can't show people and get people involved? And I'm really starting to come up into that heart-based, like, it's just about like being cool with people, man. It's the money comes after that. Like I've finally figured out how it, you know, should be. I've obviously got a way to go as well, but yeah, it feels really refreshing to have gone to Bali and figured a bunch of stuff out and then come back and been like, oh yeah, just helping people, man, being just in cool spaces and sharing magic with people is really beautiful.
It sounds like, I mean, your vision has just become more clear for you and your path as to like what it is you need to bring and share, and of course,
yeah, massively. Like, I think the biggest thing that's come through has been so I feel like last year I went through quite a deep awakening process that started around a year ago, actually. And it kind of, I feel, was the build up to 2020 with alone without the virus has been ridiculous anyway. And then now we're here. So I feel like it was, you know, in time for coming into 2020. So I came into 2020 and that was insane in itself. On my birthday, the 12th of January, there was a like ridiculously large astrological event of Pluto and Saturn that happens like once every 80 years or something. And every time that's happened, it was like the First World War, market crash, and now COVID. So it kind of, for those who are not so into this stuff, it kind of is funny that it happens to be with these huge events. So we went to the Gili Islands, my cousins and my girlfriend and I sort of held a mushroom ceremony for them, and we chilled, and it was very deep for me. And it really, this big karmic shift happened, and it's really just changed everything in terms of stepping me up to a paradigm, and all the people who are here to bring that in. I feel like that day was that switch turning over and being like, right, crazy shit. And now we are with the COVID thing, real life altering stuff. So since then, it was already crazy sort of from around the solstice and New Year's anyway. And now I've, after that, really gone on a big awakening process again, and had a business sort of masculinity course, which was really good. And I've been through the spiral. If you know about the spiral, it's like a way of deeply clearing all your emotional baggage over sort of a set amount of time. So being in Bali along with those two courses and these events and all this crazy, just loads of different things, it's really led me to realize that I kind of thought, oh, I'm a healer, like I heal people. And with all the upgrades I've had and all this crazy stuff happening around us, it's made me realize that my personal brand of shamanic work, and most shamanic work, but it's all different, is way more than just healing people. It's like awakening and empowerment and a real or connection to like the real deep stuff in the world. Mm-hmm. So when I do sessions with people now, compared to maybe even a year ago, I hesitate to even call it healing. It is always deeply healing. You always come away feeling better, but you can also come away feeling fucked because of how, you know, it can take you on a deep journey into stepping up, for example, which is never easy. So I really feel that with all the crazy events in the past, I want to say around a year, it's just led me to be like, I'm here to step up into my power, to share shamanism and spirituality and healing with people, to really empower and awaken and reconnect people to themselves and the magic around us. Yeah, it's way deeper than I ever thought it could go.
Very cool. So my understanding of a shaman itself, essentially, I guess what I envision when I think the word shaman, it's you know, someone in South America kind of doing like an ayahuasca or iboga, doing some type of medicinal work with, you know, Amazonian plants, very magical medicinal plants that are here for us to utilize, of course, for many different reasons. But I know that is maybe like a false definition, or like maybe not a true understanding of what a shaman is. If you could share your insight on that.
So it's not a false definition. The people, the men and women who you are describing are very much shamans, and you know they always will be. But the definition of a shaman is someone who uses the altered state of consciousness for the purposes, or the altered state of consciousness and the places that takes you. for the purposes of divination and or healing. So traditionally in traditional or indigenous tribal societies and cultures, the shaman was the person who uses connection to the earth and drumming and plants and fasting and dancing and a general connection to the spirit world and the techniques or practices that allow one to connect to that. Once you get a bit more depth at this work, it becomes ingrained, as everything is one, we're all connected to everything. You become very much a part of that world, and you can just tap in, and I don't particularly need to use plants or drum, I can just have it there. But when I do use the drum and do use plants, it obviously is a different level and a different experience. It's all, you know, each shaman will have their own way of doing things, similar to like a therapist would have their own way of doing things. It is with the resurgence of plant medicine, or the kind of it spreading around the world, the awakening of it to the masses and the Western world. It's very attractive, and it's very, oh wow, you can drink ayahuasca and it's crazy, oh aliens, blah blah blah. People are very drawn to that, and I love ayahuasca. She caused this whole thing for me, basically. I wouldn't be here without her. But a lot of people, when nowadays with the resurgence of plant medicine, a lot of people see shamanism as ayahuasca or plants, and I think something like maybe like 5% of like worldwide historical shamans have used consciousness altering plants as their main method of contacting the spirit world or doing healing work and divination, and there's much more to it than that. But the plants for me are a very huge part of my path. It's one of the main sort of ways I learn deeply about all the spiritual stuff I go through, but it's not the only method. Like there are some shaman who quite strictly, not strictly so, but mostly work with plants to get their connections and yada yada yada. I use plants depending on where I am physically and in my current state quite regularly, but I wouldn't say I like need them, or it's a 100% my path. I do a lot of drumming, I do a lot of meditation, lots of different things to get me in that state, even just spending time in nature, which is fundamental to shamanism, that connection to the divine through the earth. Is something I practice every day. So yeah, a lot of people see a shaman as being someone who holds ayahuasca ceremonies, but even within that, not all ayahuasca, they're called curanderos, which is the Spanish word for healer. I wouldn't even say all curanderos are shaman, because some people are more plant medicine facilitators. So they can adeptly hold space for plant medicine ceremonies, but in terms of like calling themselves a shaman or doing shamanic work as their role isn't always 100% what they fit in. It's just they do their thing, and ayahuasca and mushrooms or whatever, whereas some people are doing shamanic work as their whole thing. So it kind of depends really. But yeah, a shaman's just someone who walks between worlds. They're known as the bridge between worlds, because it's the shaman who, through contacting and working with helping spirits, can perform lots of different healing and magical divination work in the unseen realms for the betterment and help of themselves and other people. Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And, you know, basically with my spiritual journey and awakening, I guess my first experience was with psilocybin mushrooms. So that was a huge awakening of, I remember looking at my hands and thinking, okay, I am not my body. I am nothing more than what I have been told. This is crazy. Yeah. And, you know, the rest of the night I just kind of enjoyed it. I didn't go into like that very deep level of experimenting with it, but I understand that you can now. And it's kind of that level of intensity of how deep do you want to explore your own psyche in relation to this world, the metaphysical world. You know, we don't see it, and we're not taught about it, of course. So it's through our own journey that we become tapped into it and connected to it and for life. and
Mm.
it is magic. I like how you share it like that, because I think a lot of people, again, it's a conditioned state of mind. In the US specifically, like a magician is almost like an alchemist, but it's like we don't understand the work they're doing. We're just like kind of at a different level of understanding. So it's similar to this work. You know, the shaman, the magician has those powers. They're tuned into that realm
Mm.
of existence, and
Definitely.
it's wonderful, because I believe we all have the capability and power to do so. It's just, of course, our level of commitment to doing that. And of course, you can go into the soul contract level of, you know, some people just signed up to be that person for this
Yeah.
incarnation.
Yeah, the beautiful part is literally exactly what you said. Like, there's this whole concept of like, you need to come from an indigenous society and lineage to be called a shaman, and unless you're passed down that right, you can't call yourself that.
Sure.
I've had people say that to me, and I respect all those opinions and those people, but then we have outside of who we are, like you just said, like past lives and soul contracts and other realities from which we're infinitely connected. And I feel like practicing many lifetimes of this stuff, you come back and it might, like someone was saying to me yesterday, like, yeah, that might be the case, that there's this indigenous lineage and souls kind of reincarnate into that family line to learn more and more. But eventually, as this whole, not even COVID thing, but the big awakening that we've been going through even the past 10 years or so, has been the point where all of these high-powered beings and the souls that have done a lot of light work or healer work in particular places on the earth have now needed to spread out and make themselves useful in different cultures and the West and stuff. And yeah, it is really beautiful. I like that shamanism is so universal. Like, shamanism is practiced in every culture throughout the whole of human history ever. Like, baseline spiritual practice of connecting deeply to that which is around you. You just, the universe is alive and you connect to that and do cool shit with it. That's kind of the basic way I see it. And because we're all part of that, we can all do it. And some may have that inherent gift and will be a lot like deeper and a lot more suited to the work and do a lot more crazy stuff. But you can, like, the beauty of like even my course is that anyone can learn the things that I do. Yeah, you might not build a business to teach other people this stuff like I'm doing, but you can certainly learn the practices I do and take yourself down your own journey like I've done. And
That's super rewarding. So do you know how many people you have helped? And I mean, because this is the second time you're launching the course, you said?
yeah, this, like, it's been on and off, and with me trying to build my business, things have always been hit and miss and trial and error. Like, the first year of your business is always going to be, you know, way more lessons and teachings and wrongs than it is going to be making loads of money and finding out what works. It's just been a big journey, really. So I think I've got a few people on the course this time, but yeah, a lot of the work previously has been finding out how to run a business, basically, which has been fine. It's been obviously needed if I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life, like building a business or just, you know, earning my living doing this work. So considering I see myself as like, I have to do this, it's my calling, I can't not do it. So no matter how hard it's got, it's always been like, but I have to, you know, this is important stuff and it's really what I'm meant to do. So it's always been difficult but easy to continue, although it's difficult and it's like, oh, what am I going to do? kind of thing.
Can you share any, so like for me, even with this podcast, it was like, I would, you know, lay in bed some mornings thinking, okay, is this what I want to do? Is this the path for me? Do I even want to commit to this? And of course, the like inner critic almost was like, no, you're not going to be successful. Like, you're a server, go out and work. And like the other part of me, of course, was like, no, you can do this. Like, you've already started. What's your excuse? Like, you're afraid of failure. You're afraid of judgment. You're all these very illusionary fears, of course. And basically, like, when I started to really say yes to committing to it again, things just kept coming like faster, easier, it felt like. And so I was like, all right, so I have a lot of help outside that's basically just providing. And it's a really interesting flow state, you could say. But I can remember mornings where I would feel just super, I mean, unaligned, I guess, disaligned, whatever the word would be, but not feeling good. I wasn't fulfilled because I like wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And that was kind
Mm-hmm.
of creating this outlet. It's so much more than me and you. It's just like for service for the entire world. And it was an intentional passion project of mine that, you know, I had the vision and idea for. I just kept saying, well, how am I going to do it? No money, no this, no that. And as soon as I basically let go of all that, it was, again, just almost handed to me. So I feel very honored to be in this position and, you know, basically the medium to connect with other people who are doing some really, really awesome things in the world. So, so where I was going with that, like, can you recall mornings or nights even where you're waking up or not going to sleep well because you were still kind of internally like battling with yourself of like, is this the work I'm meant to do, or doubting, of course?
Yeah, I've very rarely had, because I'm so vehemently against any form of normal job. Like I worked in a pharmacy for 5 years as my first proper job, and that was like cool. But eventually, I was like, ugh. And then I worked as a barista, and then in the construction work. And it was funny how when it came to doing the construction work, I consider it like the lowest form of acceptable job I would take. Anything that was more or less aligned with me than that, or more difficult than that, or more heavy than that, would have sent me like, can't do this, I'd rather just quit.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my almost like maybe initiation into like, right, as one last test before your actual work, you'll do the least possible thing that you would want to do ever as a way to teach you about whatever the, you know, fuck it taught me about. So coming from that and being like, right, having a very positive mindset about doing this work, and I know you can manifest your reality, and I know, I think it would be easy, and it just has not been easy. And fortunately, I've been blessed to have like a good support network, like even living at home with my parents during setting up the business and stuff like that. I've always been, like you said, although it's been really difficult and I've gone times of just like having not really a lot of money and just eating through my savings, I've been blessed to always just be okay. I've never been like on the streets, and I never will be, but there has been times where it's like, I'm not making any money and I know this is what I'm meant to be doing, and I know there's like a way of doing it. I think tapping into the stuff I said before, where it's like past lives, and I've been doing this millennia, and I know how to control my reality, and all the spiritual lessons and information is sort of imprinted into your soul, but each lifetime you relearn it and go deeper. So I have an inkling, and I just know that no, you can just like manifest the life you want, and it gets to be easy, like it really does. Like the only reason people say no, that's wrong, is because they think it's wrong. And then when you meet people who, I'm not saying they don't work hard, like you need to work hard, but you don't have to work in the way this hyper warrior masculine sell, work 8, 9, 10 hours a day, constantly message people. Like there's a time and a place for that. But yeah, I certainly went from the old paradigm straight away of like, I need to sit at my laptop every day for a solid few hours and just get this business started. And I would put stuff on Instagram and try and copy other people who are in a similar position to me and get to their point. And, you know, it didn't really work. And I kind of went through the motions and spent a long time not really making any money. And yeah, I certainly struggled. I certainly was never like worried about going on the streets, and that's super fucking fortunate for me, and I'm really grateful to that, truly. But in terms of this isn't working, it's just very heavy knowing that what you're doing and meant to do just isn't working. And when you see no other option, and month after month you're not really making any money at the beginning, it's just very difficult, because it's like, oh, I've tried everything and you haven't tried everything. And it wasn't really until this whole shift of the 2020 thing and taking part in those like courses and doing more work with other people to rid myself of the things that are stopping me from having the beliefs and ways of being that I have now. Do I really see that it does get to be easy, but there's a lot more to it than, oh, I'm just going to like start a business and manifest some clients through stuff on Instagram, and there's stuff you need to do behind the scenes, and I've still got a long way to go in terms of getting to my peak or whatever. But I think the main thing I've taken away is I tried to really implement this feminine business model, spiritual kind of new paradigm business model of manifesting my reality, magnetizing clients in, feeling into my work and letting it flow. And they work for some. I think the real thing that you need to do is balance. So after I did this masculinity and realized I need to set up structures to hold in place the feminine, the magic, the magnetism, the flow. Like if I set up just if I have a network, I need to spend time creating a network, then I can draw the people in, rather than just being like, where are all these people, man? Why is no one paying attention to my work? When you need to get that. So yeah, the thing that most certainly holds us back and has held me back is the limiting beliefs which you mentioned. So it's all well and good to say, oh, I'm going to manifest these clients, or oh, I can do this, or I'm just going to do it and all will be provided for. But there's so many deeply ingrained limiting beliefs and conditioning within us that still need to be worked on. And it wasn't, I spent ages doing that and then got help doing that in a different way, that it really started to open up and it was underneath all the layers.
Do you promote, I mean, for now it's, the online, it's the, I guess, not easiest, but most functional way to open the opportunity to people on a more scalable level, I guess. You can identify who you're trying to target and, the niche of interest type of people. Because I've noticed it's people, they have to want to do this work. It's not like one of those things you're just like, okay, we're all here, we all need to heal ourselves, help ourselves. And no, there's going to be a vast majority of people who are, they don't even comprehend the words and the language we're speaking. So, it's not that I want to kind of dumb the content down, because you don't do that. It's literally a level of consciousness and understanding of this reality.
Literally.
So, it's so interesting, to even reflect on how spiritually awakened I thought I was like 2 years ago. Just more and more kind of becomes more clear, and you understand the playing field of, literally this multiverse that we're living in.
It goes so much deeper than you could ever imagine. And every time it goes deeper, you're like, oh, I can't believe it goes deeper again. I thought I knew what was going on. But you never do. No one does.
Sure. And as you stated before, a lot of people might think, oh, they just smoke too much pot. They do too many psychedelics. No, you truly, all you need, again, to tap into that really field of frequency and vibration, the dancing, the drumming, those that comes from a very, for years and years, there's villages, communities drumming and dancing and thriving in that type of, they probably didn't necessarily communicate or have words. So that was all they knew. And it's truly amazing to know that we've evolved through all of that. And then, our DNA knows that. We have it blueprinted and instilled, and it's just a matter of tuning back into that.
It is integral to who we are. I don't know what to even call it. There's no set, you have to do these things, but this connection to magic thing, and there's obviously magic, with a K, as in a practice of controlling, the universe to your will. And then there's obviously magic as in whoa, like Disney movies and life and nature's sweet, that kind of magic. But that real joy and yeah, I want to say like openness and connection, that heart-based stuff that really matters. Like it is amazing being able to like take a bunch of mushrooms and see another civilization in another galaxy and la la la. I love all that stuff. It's amazing. And then you come back and you're like, what it all comes back to is being like as a shaman anyway, but for loads of people, that connection to the heaven and the earth. And I think the gateway to that and the center of that is the heart and love. And obviously people, we're all here on this planet for a reason. Like so many people are meditating their lives away, practicing so much abstinence, just sitting in caves metaphorically, and you know, doing yoga and being vegan, which is nothing wrong with any of that. They're all perfectly legit and even good things to do. I think a lot of people bypass and take that too far and completely avoid the physicality. I've done it. I've been completely 100% guilty of just living in my upper chakras, and only this year really, and going to Bali, have I really come back down and started to be like, I've got shadow work, man. I've got limiting beliefs, man. And it's when you do both of those things, like go and drink ayahuasca for 3 months in the jungle and take 10 grams of mushrooms, but make sure you like do shadow work, get a therapist, learning how to have good sex, eat well, breathe, exercise. You know, a lot of people do bits and bobs, but I guess the best, in my opinion, thing you can do to live like in alignment with magic and this spiritual life is to just like live from an open heart and really get in touch with your body and your feelings and connect to the crazy stuff through that. Like, yeah, you can have an out of body experience, but that's such a small fraction of our lives that it has its benefits. But I think we're here in these physical bodies for a reason. And that's a lesson I really learned from my girlfriend more than anyone, who's always like, you're so spiritual, man. Like in a, like your lame way, like you're always meditating. Blah blah blah. Yeah, he's come back down to earth. Shut up. But no, she's completely right. I love her. She's so right, and I'm so grateful that she's, you know, taught me that lesson. She's amazing, and yeah, it's really that embodiment of the divine, rather than doing a bunch of yoga and smoking a bunch of weed and never having it inside and acting on it and doing what's needed to really spread that in this realm. Like we're in this realm, and for those of us who connect deeply to other realms, the only real reason in my eyes is to do it here, like bring whatever's good there back here. And that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing, really. There's so much cool shit out there a lot of people don't know about, and I'm blessed to have the gifts of showing people quite deeply that magic. Like a lot of people do a thing with me or have a session and go like, whoa, that was really cool, and I'm like, yeah, this stuff is like, it's there, like trust me, look, it's cool. So yeah, I love it, man. Really cool.
That's amazing. Yeah, and that's one thing, you know, through my spiritual journey itself, because I found myself wanting to start a like spiritual life coach business, and then of course the ego was like, what do you think? Like, you can't lead these people, and I truly wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, looking back, I still don't know if it's not my path. I know it's created for other people, but it was basically my soul trying to guide me to actually just embody that work. And because I had already basically been exposed to the practices of doing yoga, mindfulness, meditation, Tai Chi, you know, all these very grounding spiritual practices that you can implement, you know, daily. And they're so useful to bringing you back to that space. And
definitely.
What I noticed, you know, I could try to like preach to my friends and family, like, this is what you need to do. I wasn't actually doing the work. So I like, it was kind of this imbalance of, again, trying to embody this thing, but I wasn't even leading the way or example, you know. So it's really, again, it's so much more than shifting your mindset and doing the work. It's truly holding that space, like infinitely, basically.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. I, again, have fallen prey to many of the, what are they called? Ego traps. Like, not very deeply. Like, I've seen people who really, because I've always been a very down-to-earth and genuine person. Like, my sun, my ascending, and my moon are all earth signs, so I'm like this triple earth, really balanced kind of person in general, but I have been really ungrounded as I've come into my shamanic and spiritual stuff and slowly become more grounded, but that's just part of it when you're channeling all this stuff. And yeah, so I've always been quite a down-to-earth and genuine person anyway. So although I have fell prey to ego traps, I've seen other people who are like, wow, I thought when I became aware of the ego traps and then worked on it, and you see people doing the stuff that people make jokes about, you think, fuck, I thought I was bad. And there are actually those people who genuinely think they're better than other people because they do loads of yoga, meditation. Like, I've definitely been too spiritual, but never to the point where I think I'm better than other people. But I have fallen prey to that way of being, of thinking that I only need to do healing as opposed to changing my diet or doing therapy, like with different kind of things, rather than just all shamanic stuff. And it is, yeah, a real crazy journey of like telling people to do a certain thing. Oh, you got to do this, it's so amazing. And oh wait, everyone's different. Like even my journey with diet, with the whole same as everyone else, veganism's this really cool thing that saves the planet and makes you really healthy. So I was like, oh, obviously, oh, you guys aren't vegan. Fuck's sake, man. There's like so much shit happening on the planet. What the hell? And then it came to a point where I simply could not function. I had brain fog, achy joints, lack of everything. And I had to change my diet. And that in itself was a crushing blow. And going through that whole process is more than just the food I eat and the choices I make. That deeply taught me about, one, that, oh, you guys aren't vegan? Oh, come on, man, like, you gotta be vegan. And how I treat other people, but not only my diet, but how I relate to my body. Like having to, the mushroom actually told me to change my diet, and I was like, no, gutted. And then when I did, I realized, oh, you're supposed to listen to your body, not tell it what to, you know, most of the time listen to, if you're on a run, you tell it to keep going. But yeah, in terms of stuff like diet, just that deep wisdom that comes from the body. And if it weren't for changing my diet and realizing that I was wrong, then I wouldn't be in the position where I'm at. So it is always good to be wrong, despite what, you know, I or other people might think sometimes.
That's unique. So you were eating, I mean, it wasn't a full plant-based diet you were on, you were consuming. I
grew up eating everything. Eventually, like a friend of mine who would never have thought would have gone veggie, went veggie. I was like, oh, like, you know, making jokes and shit as you do. And then eventually with all this vegan, some of it's propaganda, but I don't think all of it is. It is legit. Like, obviously the animal side of things is fucking horrendous, and I can't argue with that. The planet side of things, definitely. But there's just a lot of stigma, dogma, and propaganda around veganism, because it's just like, fuck your body. Like, there are animals being, and I completely agree with that. I can't argue with it. There's no point in trying. But having gone from this journey and realizing how damaging that diet was to my body, I went veggie and felt really good. I eventually cut out dairy and was like, yeah, fuck it. And then I cut out eggs. So I was like, yeah, cool, full vegan, super happy. And within 6 months of doing so, I really started to just get headaches and feel a bit tired all the time. I thought, oh, it's just because I'm working a busy job as a barista. And then after another 3 to 4, 5, 6 months of that happening, I remember getting to Australia, I just started eating fish again. That's what the mushroom told me, you need to start eating fish. I was like, oh, man. And I remember getting to Australia with my girlfriend, and we were in Byron Bay, which is this tiny little town. You can walk around it in like 15 minutes. And I couldn't walk into town without getting tired. I couldn't just go for a walk without literally needing to go to bed. It was horrendous. So it was, you know, 6 to 9, maybe like 12 months of being vegan before the mushroom was like, come on, man, I think you're not looking into this. And I was deeply gutted that I had to change my diet, because I really, if it suited my body, I still would be vegan. And even now, my diet is 80% vegan. I still eat fish and eggs like once a week. But it's just taken me on that journey. And like I said, as much as I'd love to be vegan, I don't think I can. And some people would argue that, like, nah, fuck you haven't tried hard enough. And it's like, I know if it wasn't for me going vegan, I wouldn't know what my body really wants. And within that, it's taught me about like a deep appreciation and relationship with food, like energetically. And I'm now in a position where any of the bad vibes instilled in the eggs and fish I can clear through my intention and just the work I do. But it took a while to get there. Like, I would eat fish and eggs and I need it. I simply couldn't function without them. And then I'd go into ceremony and purge all the fish, the stuff that's happened to the fish and the chickens and stuff. And I was like, oh, how do you balance the, like, I felt horrible without them, but I get this as well. And I don't know which one was better, like feeling like shit all the time or having like the negative energetic impact of that. But I think gratitude is just simply absolutely giving your wholehearted, like, I'm so grateful that you've gone through what you've gone through and given me your body so that I can be here. Like, ideally, I would go fishing myself and I would get chickens, eggs that have just been chilling, which we do at the minute. But obviously, if you don't live near water that's clean, how can you go fishing? It is difficult, but it's just taught me to have real appreciation for the food I eat and how much it matters to give gratitude to not only your food but like everything, man.
That's really beautiful. And I can recall so I never went full vegan, but I did do like a vegetarian diet for, I want to say, like 4 years. It was kind of through my college experience. I started watching like all these documentaries, of course, and then I had come across an article that was sharing the concept of like the energetics and vibrations of when you do consume these animals, you're of course holding on to their pain and suffering. And that was the shift. I was like, wait, I don't want to feel this.
Same.
Is that why I've been feeling this way? I'm eating all these. At that time I was working in a corporate restaurant called Carrabba's, and like the chicken, there's just always grilling. There's always pieces of chicken everywhere. So I can recall like one week kind of trying to test it at first, let's go a week with eating it, let's go another week without eating it. And I felt a difference. And then, next week I cut out more of like what I didn't think I needed. And it kind of led me on an interesting path of like, I was doing vegetarian, but I wasn't consuming any of the right nutrients. And really it was just carbs. I love carbs.
Potatoes. Yeah.
So, I might have felt better, but I didn't look healthy in the sense, like a lot of it was just holding on to my fat cells, of course. So that was a whole nother transition of, okay, I know that I need to do better with this, but really just moderation and having, I guess for me, it's like the mindset of, historically we're hunter-gatherers. We weren't always able to, again, find the fish, find the cow, the chicken, the turkey, whatever, we're consuming that evening. So to have the appreciation, well, it's really the abundance of all the meat that we do have. It's sickening the amount of animals again, that we've killed, and for our own selfish, desire to eat it. But I do believe like we overconsume to the fullest.
Massively,
and animals. It's really just finding the balance of what does your body need in that moment. And some would identify it as like intuitive eating, but it really is just knowing that, okay, number one, there's actually additives in most of this food, which is why you're craving it. And kind of that, having that level of understanding and education, I think will, I don't want to say shift the masses, but if you're ready to take care of your body and feel whole and holistic, you'll begin to ingest better foods for you. It's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely. That intuitive eating piece, like I remember the first thing I saw of anti-veganism was the guy who does Bulletproof, like the Bulletproof Coffee guy, Dave Asprey.
Okay.
He had a video and he basically went against one of the vegan documentaries, What the Health, I think it was. He was just like, the people who made that documentary have been like firebombing people's houses who are owning like animal industry things and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. And he was like, veganism is not a healthy diet. No human should do it. And I was like, what? I've just heard so many things that say the opposite. I was really confused. And one guy who I know was posting a lot of like his journey was basically going back to meat, and he just said how it completely transformed his life. Going back to it made him healthy again. So following his journey and other people's and sort of the links he would post, I'd get all worried, like, oh, what am I supposed to be eating? Oh no, it's so big and so deep, because obviously health is so important. And yeah, when it was the mushroom that eventually, it was weird. It was like this weird surgery. Like, I don't know whether medicine's like this to you, but the medicine like takes over my body, and it's kind of like almost like this weird dentist. It was like digging into my mouth. I was like, what is going on? And it was kind of sizing me up through my mouth somehow. I was like, and it was like, yeah, dude, you're gonna have to eat fish again. I was like, no. And then I eventually did. And same with eggs. I kind of myself felt, okay, I need eggs now. But I think it was only through the mushroom telling me about the fish. And I think one of the biggest aspects of this whole, like the intuitive eating thing, is I went on this journey of like the guy doing his thing and other people against veganism. And the main thing that seemed to be the case was saturated fat. Like animal fats and is very obviously low in a vegan diet. And I'm pretty certain that for me personally, obviously some people, veganism suits their body and that's really good for them and it's great. I know that veganism is apparently not very good for like autoimmune response in the body. So if you have like Crohn's disease and stuff, I know it can like imbalance that. And if you have cancer, then not being vegan would be horrible because you need to be clear and alkaline and stuff. But the biggest thing that came for me, I think, was the saturated fat thing. So like eating loads more avocados, putting coconut oil in my coffee, and then fish and eggs. And going from, so my diet is basically the same as it was before I was vegan, except once or twice a week I eat some fish and eggs. And going from feeling the worst I've ever felt to completely 100% great and fine, eating 2 things a week different, has just made me be like, I still eat mindfully. I don't overconsume eggs and fish, only when my body needs it. And one of the biggest things was, as someone who practices a lot of spiritual healing and shamanism and is up there a lot, the thing that came the most from me and still does, and is the grounding aspect of what we eat. And a lot of people have said to me, we can't just eat root vegetables. And yeah, root vegetables are very grounding if you eat carrots and potatoes, but the kind of energetic density of a potato and an egg or a fish is vastly different. And I didn't notice this until I read the book The Wheels of Life by some woman about the chakras, basically.
It's a great.
In it, so she mentions in it fish, eggs, and meat are more grounding than like breathing or water or salads, which is cool. I was like, oh yeah, makes sense. And it was only when, so when you drink ayahuasca, it's strongly advised that you follow a specific diet so that the compounds in the medicine don't cause you to have any health problems. So you can't have any red meat, no salt, no sugar, and there's other reasons for taking this diet. It's to be pure so that you can listen to the wisdom of the plants. But there is a physical health aspect to ayahuasca specifically. So I'd known about this diet, and every time I drink ayahuasca, I'd follow it. And a woman who I drank with said, I follow this diet with every ceremony, mushrooms, San Pedro, DMT, blah, blah, blah. So I said, oh, okay, I'll give that a go. So for nowadays, it's a bit less, but when I'm having a deep ceremony with mushrooms or peyote or San Pedro or ayahuasca, for about 4 or 5 days, I will have no sex, no sugar, no salt, no like really shitty foods. I'm eating plain vegetables, rice, quinoa, blah blah blah. So that for one really quietens the energetic, you are what you eat, so that really quietens the energy of the body to take on the wisdom of the plants or the mushrooms. So that is noticeable. It's very, keeps you centered and open. And it wasn't until being in that state of dieting, having ceremony, and then being really open, and then going back to eating salt and eggs and fish and realizing the very, very, very vast energetic difference that happens when you eat eggs and fish, and learning it through doing the sort of more exaggerated practice as that. And now going into a state where if crazy things are happening, I know, okay, my body needs fish now, not because it's just some essential oils I need. It's also like that grounding that it's for someone like me, I can't achieve that on a vegan diet. And that's not the only reason why, but that was a big piece for me that I had never realized and would never have realized were it not for the journey I'd been on and the practices I take. So that was really interesting to learn.
For sure. And yeah, to tell anybody that's, this is what you're supposed to eat, this is what you're not supposed to eat, that sounds wild because, again, everyone's so different. And I know a lot of, I can't remember at the moment, Ayurveda, maybe? Like there's different
Ayurveda,
types of body that do different things.
The elements.
Yeah. So again, it's kind of just, I don't want to say tuning in again, but knowing your body well enough to find your balance.
There's an interesting TED talk, can't remember what it's called, but this guy said he basically studied under an Ayurvedic doctor, and he lived in the mountains in Nepal, somewhere India, maybe in Himalayas. And this guy was like this top-notch, like crazy Ayurvedic doctor. Loads of people came to him, and he said one of the basic principles this guy uses is that everything is medicine or poison. So some people would come to him and say, I have this really bad pain, and he would intuitively say, you need to eat like 10 plates of cauliflower like in a week. And they'd be like, right, okay. But he said all the time this guy would just know what this person needs, and it would solve their problem. And he makes a joke at the end. It was like, when I went to him with a problem, I needed to eat onion rings. And the guy ate onion rings, and he said it actually worked. Like whatever problem I had was resolved with onion rings. And the guy's principle of like everything is medicine or poison, like too much water can kill you. And yeah, it just goes to show that I have thought like you should all be vegan. Like why are you not being vegan? But that one size fits all is just absurd. Like there's just too many different people. Like it just doesn't make sense to me anymore.
Sure. And for either of the two, you know, the vegan or the non-vegan, it's still like another divide of a weird, you know, why can't we still share a common space of no judgment, you know,
Exactly.
all unconditional love, and, you know, you're at your level of experience, I'm at mine, and we can still share life together. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's definitely taken a lot of time for me to get to that point. I was definitely very like, not you're wrong, but the attitude I held was like, no, I'm not gonna like eat dead things. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh fuck you, that, you know. And I know now that was the ego trap, and that was me needing to grow up. And I see now that people have said it to me, like, oh yeah, but give your body what it wants. Like, oh, unless it's fish. It's like, oh, who are you to say? So we think we know, and I'm glad I grew out of that. Yeah.
That's the beautiful process about this whole thing, right? We're able to evolve, grow, and learn just through the entire experience, and of course continue to share it. So I think this is a great ending point, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, cool.
If there's any last message you feel guided to share with the community, I am open for that.
Yeah, just that, like, although this time is deeply unsettling, like to the core of who we are, the core of who we are is not what you actually think it is. It really is not. And it's so difficult to see that underneath our humanity and underneath our egos and our thoughts and our feelings, which are all needed. We need an ego, otherwise you wouldn't know who to feed at the dinner table, which is a very good saying from Terence McKenna. There's so much of this, like, you got to get rid of your ego, man, and be spiritual. And it's like, well, actually, similar to the vegan thing, you just have to like integrate it and be aware of it. Like, awareness is key, really. But underneath all of that shit is just this deeply ingrained infinite love that is ever present in everything. And although we will go through strife, and although people will die, and we will experience grief, and all these bad things are happening, and I'm not saying that they aren't, and they really are, it's a reality that we should be deeply aware of and in contact with. These things are happening for you and not to you. And in the end, whether it's even towards the end of our lives, like, there will come a point where you realize it's just all going to be okay, man. Like, there's just no other way to me. And even if something really bad happened to me, I'm sure I would forget that and go on my own journey. But from someone who has had those things happen, not so deeply than others, which again, I'm grateful for, just know that no matter how difficult it is, like, it is cool. It is going to be fine.
That is really, really awesome. Thank you so much, Josh.
No worries, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Well, enjoy your evening, and yeah,
you too, man.
Stay connected.
Thank you. Peace and love, Brittany. See you soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.